Hello, hello, test, test, test. Testing audio. Hello. I hope there is audio. For some reason, I do not hear it. There is audio. For some reason, I do not hear it. And I do hear it. Great. All right. Welcome to my stream. So here this is my third stream. It is extremely warm here. I am sweating like a stuck pig. I hope my computer can handle the heat as well as my external hard drive. But we'll see. We'll see if the computer just melts. I hope not. Anyway, last stream I was drawing a character of my comic book AXMANIAC, which I've been harassing people with online for 2 weeks now because it is on Kickstarter. And it's actually, let me check, it's actually a couple of days left. 3 days left, and we are at 91%, so that's pretty cool. I'm almost there. I'm going to do a last call campaign on Facebook Wednesday, hoping that people who have not seen my Kickstarter will pledge, because I can't wait to print this book. It's going to be really cool. And during this stream, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm going to do when the Kickstarter ends and if it's successful. Now, you might hear some background noise because my window is open because it is really warm here. I'm not joking. I'm really sweating. I'm making a commercial for Bullet. It's okay. Okay. Anyway, so last time I was drawing Emma from AXMANIAC. I will show you what I did last stream. I started with a really rough sketch on what I wanted to do, which was this pose where she is happily walking with a big axe. During the stream, I refined my really rough sketch into this, well, it's still sketch, but it's more defined. I even put in some shading, and you got some details there, but it wasn't quite, a finished drawing. So then we went to the line art, which you can see here. Now here we have the finished line art, which I drew last week, of Emma. Am I saying this correctly? It might also be Lisa. I'm actually, look, here's this moment. Doesn't matter. It's way too warm to. Anyway, so here we have Emma, who is a character in AXMANIAC, happily strolling about with an axe. Now she's not the AXMANIAC, nor does she happily stroll with an axe in the comic, but I thought it was a really fun pose. Now the last thing I did last stream was put in some base colors, which you can see here. I even colored the line art, which was actually accidental. Instead of using what I normally do is black, the line art was a reddish dark red. It's just dark red. What happened, what I didn't know, that if I put in my flat colors And I also color in the line art color changes because it's set on multiply, which in Photoshop means that all the black, dark colors stay and all the white colors become transparent. So this gives a nice effect where actually the skin line art is a little lighter, and here in the hair it's much darker, which gives a nice contrast. So what I'm going to do this stream is I'm going to shade and highlight this character and maybe add a little bit of a background. Like she's walking out of the forest holding a bloody axe. It's not really in context of the comic, but it makes for a fun picture. So well, let's get started while I drink another sip of Bullet, which it's okay. It's cold. It's cold. It works. So what I'm going to try, I did this recently and it worked really well, is I am adding a new layer. I'm going to color in full black for the shading. I'm just going to see if this works. It might also not work. In this case, I'll just try something else. But let me show you what I will try to do in this part. Now here we have some shading. So I'm going to block this in black. And because I'm super prepared, I have no idea what this will do. When I change the setting of the layer to overlay. As you can see, I'm not 100% sure what overlay does, but it does make a nice effect if you put colors overlapping each other. And I also want to add that if you have a question for me, there is a chat room on my stream. Just ask me anything. You can ask me about the Kickstarter, you can ask me about the comic, just, you know, whatever you got, you know, whatever you want to know. I can also change the opacity of this layer. Now it's pretty red. If you can see here, it's pretty dark red. So I'm going to change the opacity a little bit so that the shading color will blend a little bit more with the flat colors. So anyway, what I want to talk about, oh, hey, I forgot one of her eyebrows. Silly. There we go. Now this type of coloring is a little bit more intensive because I also need to color in the line art, which I normally don't have to do. So there might be a little bit, you got these parts like here, which are not really, you know, they're not really nice, but if you make the drawing a little smaller, you don't see it anyway. So, anyway, what I wanted to talk about is the Kickstarter. It's almost at an end, and we're not at 100% yet. I do have 60 wonderful people who pledged to my Kickstarter, which is great. Actually, a lot of people chose the one of the rewards, which was called "Get Killed by the AXMANIAC," where I draw you or whoever you want getting brutally slaughtered by the AXMANIAC. So that's this was actually a lot of people did. So I'm gonna, if I make the Kickstarter, I'm gonna have to draw like 5 of those, which is great. And I don't mind drawing more, so just get involved. I can't wait to print this book. I'm really happy. I'm pretty proud on what I did. It's also my first time writing a comic book. Usually I work with writers, but this time I decided to just write my own book. Now it's not, I got a lot to learn on that area. I totally recognize that, but I think AXMANIAC is a very fun comic book, which, one of the reviews said, the pacing is relentless, which is what I was going for. I wanted I wanted a fast-paced, cinematic story, and I think it delivers. I can't wait for people to read it and just to see what they think about it. So, if the Kickstarter will be successful and you get your book, let me know what you think. Even if it is like constructive feedback or critique, I love getting that because I want to improve my work. And hey, I want to make AXMANIAC Part 2, so I don't mind if people tell me what I should improve or what I should add or what I should leave out, all that stuff. I'm not really happy with what I've done here. I think I'm going to remove this for now. It's too much. This is maybe just a tad under the eyes. There we go. That's better. So when the Kickstarter is finished, which will be, I believe, Thursday at noonish, somewhere around noon. Once it's finished, I will be finishing the book this weekend. The comic itself is done. All the pages are done. But I need to actually make the book. You got your title page. I want to make a thank you page of everyone who shared my my project on the internet. And I got some other fun stuff I want to include just to make the experience of reading AXMANIAC more fun. So I'll hopefully be able to finish that up in the weekend. Then a friend of mine who's from England will proofread the book to see if I made any stupid mistakes, which I know I will because English is not my first language, of course. And then the book is sent off to the printers. And I believe the waiting time will be 2 weeks. So we'll have to wait 2 weeks for the books to arrive. And in the meantime, I will be able to start on the commissions because I've, like I said, I got some people to draw, which are brutally murdered by the AXMANIAC. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm going to make each kill unique, and then I will also post them on my Facebook page. And I also, one of the other backer rewards was just a full-on commission. So you get the book, and I will make a drawing of whatever you like. Be it a superhero, or you want a movie character, or whatever. Just let me know what you want, and I'll draw it. There's also a sketch version of this backer reward, if you want that. Or if you just want the book, there's also a pledge reward for that. Even a digital one. The digital book, I might send that off as I'm not really sure what I should do with that. There are two options. Either I send it off right away when I finish it, or I wait till I get the actual books, send the actual books, and then the digital books, because I can assume most people that bought the printed book would like to read the actual book instead of just the PDF, sorry. It is way too warm. My mind is not working very clear. And the bullet is not cold anymore, yeah, well, once the book is off to the printer, I will start on the commissions. I'm not sure if I can finish them all in 2 weeks, but when the books arrive, I will immediately start sending these books to everybody, which will be a lot of work, but a lot of fun work. So we're immediately getting a lot more depth, just adding some shading, as you can see. I'll also highlight some parts later on. After the whole Kickstarter is wound down and I send all the books, I will start a web shop on my site, which will also sell the books, because I should have a surplus of books when I send everything. So people who did not pledge to Kickstarter or did not have a credit card, which you know, in the US it's very common for everybody to have a credit card, but here in Europe it's used, but you know, I have a credit card, but I haven't used that thing for ages, except Kickstarter, really. So you will still be able to buy the book, and I am planning on visiting some Comic-Cons. I'm not sure when they are. Most of them are already have already been this year, so it will probably be next year. I'll be visiting the Comic-Cons with AXMANIAC and my other books, which I still have. Not a lot of them, though. I got some copies of Toy Z, which was written by Cliff Hughes. And I drew the interior art for that. It's a really fun book about toys fighting zombies. So it's Toy Story meets The Walking Dead. It's lots of fun. Hear my daughter in the background, who is still fighting off her sleep, which she'll lose, like she always does. Not sure if I like the shadows in her face, but maybe if I add more shadows in the hair and all the rest, it might blend in a little bit more. Now it kind of looks like a mask, but you know, I can always change it back. Okay, the color looks pretty good on the skin. Now let's see what it does when I do it on the pink or purple shirt. Oh, that looks great. Okay. I did find out with some testing that this technique does not work with every color. So I'm just going to do this color by color, and if something does not look right, I can always fix it on another way. That's the beauty of Photoshop. You can do this stuff in so many ways. So yeah, there were some, I had some reviews on AXMANIAC, 2 of them. Both were really enthusiastic about the comic. I also did 2 interviews with websites, which you can all find when you look on my Facebook page of Zombieburger Productions. And yeah, there were lots of fun to do, and they're also on Twitter, I believe. Sure to read them if you want to know more about me, the comic, and why I made a slasher comic. A comic about a genre which has been dead for quite some time, unfortunately. There's still slashers out there, but none of them match the greatness of the 80s slashers, but that's also why I kind of made it, because I would like to have that returned. I love the 80s slashers, and that's why I actually made AXMANIAC as a fitting tribute to that genre of very bad horror movies. But I like really bad horror movies. Yeah, it's true. Doing the Kickstarter was, although it's lots of fun to do, it's a lot of work. And for this Kickstarter, I prepared myself pretty well. So I thought I put a lot of effort in thinking on what I was going to do during the campaign. I made a professional-looking press release for my comic, which I sent to news outlets all around the internet who were dealing with horrors and comics and all that kind of stuff. And I got some response from that, so that did work. People did want to know about my comic. They wanted to, they wanted to review it. They wanted to interview me. So I was happy with making that press release. There's some really good tutorials online with templates and what you should include in a press release. So if you are looking for ways to boost your Kickstarter, a press release is a great tool for that. So I wanted to prepare myself pretty well, but I found out that although I had lots of plans, a lot of those things ran out of steam really quickly, because getting in touch with your audience is a lot more difficult than it was when it was the first Word Kickstarter 6 years ago. Not really sure anymore. On Facebook I used Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. On Facebook, you got those groups, but I have a feeling that a lot of those Facebook groups aren't really used anymore. I think on every group I posted, I think maybe 1 or 2 was actually active with people. Now, I'm not sure if that's like a YouTube or a Facebook algorithm that sort of, they want you to see all the ads and all the paid boosting posts, so you don't really see any content of those groups. I don't know how that works, but I had some difficulty reaching that audience. Although I did get some great responses. People actually contacted me via Facebook saying they backed my Kickstarter. Other people were also actively sharing all my work. And I hope that I will be able to find all those people again, so I can put them on my thank you page. I did make a list, but I kind of forgot to update it during the campaign, so I hope I will not forget anyone. I also use Twitter. I actually got some more response from Twitter than I usually do, so that's good. But still, it isn't much. The new thing I did was heavily use Instagram. Sorry, I have to keep drinking because it's so warm. I use Instagram. Of course, I have my Instagram account. I even tried boosting a post, which got a lot of likes, and I got a lot of followers, but I did not really get any pledges, so that was a weird one. But it was, it's fun to experiment with that, and you learn for your next project what you should use. I also tried finding indie comic reviewers on YouTube. And I was not really successful with that. I'm sure they're out there, but all the reviewers I saw were reviewing like the big comics, Marvel, DC, which of course I could totally understand, because if you want views, you need to talk about popular stuff instead of some indie comic no one's ever heard about. I'm noticing that my spacebar is not working really well. I actually use my spacebar. If I hold it, I get this little hand and I can drag the screen around. But when it doesn't work, it just stays as a brush. Oh, I think I have yes. There we go. So I think my keyboard is either dying or extremely dirty. I'm afraid it's the latter. So this technique I'm using here with the overlay layer is working pretty well. I like it. I haven't touched the hair yet. The hair, I always have trouble with coloring hair because hair is difficult. But I will do that. Oh yes, the shoes. Look, here is where we're beginning to see a little tiny problem. The color of the sock is really light, so the shading is almost non-viewable. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to remove the shading. I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to shade this again with black, like so. We're going to put it on overlay again. And we're not going to change the opacity. It's still really light, but at least you can see it just a tiny bit better. It'll also be more noticeable when I draw the background, because now the contrast with the white background is really high. So campaigning for the Kickstarter was, although it is lots of fun, it is also a lot of work. And I actually learned a lot from this Kickstarter, which will be great for my next Kickstarter. I actually have a new project lined up, and it's not going to be a comic. This time it's going to be a card game. I won't say too much about it yet because I just wrote the rules, and in theory I think it's going to be a very fun game, but I haven't tested it yet. So what I need to do is get some blank cards, just write on it what the card should say, and just test the actual game. So that's going to be a fun progress. I never designed a game before, so either the game is like way too easy or it is super difficult. I have no idea. Okay, I guess I'll have to draw the hair now. I'm going to save, just in case my computer just shuts down because of the heat. Oh, okay, wait. Here, I'm going back to my previous layer, which had an opacity. Now, for this, I'm actually going to make another layer, put it on overlay, color this part, because as you can see, it's just pure black. Now I'm going to change the opacity to about 30, or maybe 40. 50? Okay, let's put it on 50 for now. So here you can see some shading. So yeah, the card game, it's the rules are done, like the first draft. I have not played it myself because I physically have to make the cards, which is going to be a lot of work because I need about, what was the number, 250 cards to play the game. So it's going to be quite something. And then I'm going to test it. First, I'm just going to play a game by myself to see if it actually works. And then I'm going to find some groups of people who know how to play card games and just to see what they think about it. If the game is fun, which I hope it is, I will have the task of drawing artwork for 250 cards. And then I also want to feature this card game on Kickstarter. I think a card game, games for that matter, work a little bit better on Kickstarter, as far as I can see. So that's going to be fun just to see what it will do. I do have a setting for the game, an idea. It doesn't really have a backstory, but it has a theme. I think that's the correct word. It has a theme, which I think is going to be very fun. It is horror related, but it's not going to be that serious. It's going to be, actually, it's going to be pretty silly, so I hope it's going to be fun for people. Now, AXMANIAC, I did take the story serious, just like an actual slasher would. This, I don't know what I did here, but this looks pretty crappy. Okay, I think I know what's going on here. Oh, wait. What I'm trying to do here is maybe if I do this, no. Right. Trying to fix something live, which is great. Okay, that looks better. Which one? Ah, this one. So, lost my train of thought again, as usual. That's fine. Once again, if you have a question for me, then just let me know on the chat. My Twitch channel page is still very empty. I did not have any time to update it, but I will try to do that once the Kickstarter is taken care of. Because I really want to focus my time on finishing the book. I think it's not that much work. I don't really have to make artwork. You know, I got the cover. I do need to make a back cover, like if you have seen the cover, I made a VHS cover tape, you know, which you could find in video stores back when we actually had video stores. And I want to make the back cover in the same style, so you'll have, like you always had, you had these like 3 or 2 shots of the movie, and then you had a little story. So I'm going to do the same to make it look nice. I was also thinking of maybe adding 2 or 3 pages of fake movie posters. Like, you know, normally when you rent a movie, you get some trailers before the actual movie. So I thought maybe it would be fun to make some movie posters. So I might do that. I'm not sure yet, but it might be fun. coloring is always, it's not my favorite part of drawing. Yeah. I do like the result. Once I'm finished and I actually colored a drawing, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with it. But the actual coloring process, it just takes so much time for me. And I know I could do way better, but it's always more of an afterthought for me to color in my artwork. I did try some new stuff in the comic. Actually did some actual coloring tests because my initial idea was to make the comic look like a comic from the 80s. You know, when they didn't have any digital coloring, they just used screen tone colors. So everything was colored with little dots. You had all these, oh, I can't do that. You had all these dots, and the more dots you had, the more shadow you got. So if people who read the old comics, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And I actually wanted to try something like that, but that was so time consuming. I could use filters and textures and all that stuff, but it didn't look authentic. So in the end, I did end up coloring the comic as it, you know, as a more modern comic. And I am really happy with the result. Because I also had to draw like a lot of mundane stuff, like a police. At one point, a police car comes in the scene, with sirens blazing. So I had to color the sirens, all that stuff. That was a lot of fun to try to. You know, how does that work? How does that look? You know, finding references on the internet, looking up movies on YouTube just to see what happens when you got those sirens blazing and those warning lights reflecting on everything. So I think I posted an example on my Instagram. I'm not really sure anymore. Talking in this heat is not ideal. Okay. Well, this is starting to look like something. Still not really happy with the shadows in her face. I might, let's see, where is the shadows here? It's on 60. If I lower the opacity just a tad, see, it blends in more with the flat colors, and this looks way better. Yes. Oh, I forgot to color the red parts of her shoe. No, we can. I need to put it on here. So yeah, Kickstarter almost finished. Actually, it was 20 days kickstarting. Normally, I think it's a month, but you know, the less days you do, the more successful it becomes, really. Because you know, if you do 60 days, people will think you not really have faith in your product. And I thought 20 days should be enough because my amount wasn't that high, and doing 20 days would end the Kickstarter on June 1st. So yeah, we're a couple of days away from that. Okay, so we did some basic shading. Usually I leave it at this because it fits the style. You can always do a little bit more of a digital painting where you even more depth to the character. But I'll leave it at this for now, and we're going to try to highlight the character. I like to keep my Photoshop files pretty neat, so I'm going to put all the shading layers in a folder. I usually just make folders for everything, which I'm doing right now. You can't see it, but I am doing it. And I'm making a highlight folder as well. Yeah, this is pretty exciting. Okay, let's do some highlighting. I'm going to try to do the exact same thing by putting the layer on overlay. If I can find it, there we go. And I'm going to use a white color this time. Let's see what happens when I just going to add some highlights on her face. This is pure white, which looks a little weird. So the overlay is not really working. Let's just change the opacity a little bit. Now you see that the color is blending a little bit more with the background. And there goes my external hard drive. I might have to shut that down. Let's see if I can just... No, it's still doing that. Is it still hooked on? Macs do not like when you just pull out hard drive. Okay, I'm just going to pull it out of my computer, and here we go. Quiet. I hope my computer will not be doing the same thing. I already hear it way more than I usually do, so it's not having a great time. So we're highlighting. I'm going to remove these on her cheek, and I'm going to try something else with that later on. Also with this, I'm going to add another layer just to make this look more shiny. Now, I usually don't really go overboard with highlights because, well, you can do it on an axe because that's made of metal and should be shiny, but if you're gonna highlight the whole shirt, you can do like a little layer here, but if you do too much, it's gonna look like a really shiny shirt, which is a little weird. So I'm just gonna add just a bunch where the light would hit the shirt. Oh. Same with the pants, just it's not really necessary. You can add just a bit. But jeans are not really shiny. I'm actually using a different brush. For drawing, I use like I said last time, I use a pretty rough brush, which simulates drawing with a pencil pretty good. But for coloring, I use this brush, which is a lot more thicker and it has cleaner lines. But for coloring, that just works a lot better. I am actually also recording this, and I will be putting it on YouTube so people can look at it back, and I did make some time lapses of the drawings. I'm not sure if I'll make a time lapse of me coloring this. I don't think it's that, it will probably not be super exciting to look at, but next week I will be drawing something. I'm not really sure what. It doesn't have to be AXMANIAC related, as the Kickstarter will have ended then. So if anybody has a cool idea on what I should draw, I might put up a poll on, see my space bar. I might put up a poll on Instagram or Twitter, see what people would like me to see get drawn. You know, I could draw a movie character, or a superhero, or whatever. I'm up for anything. I don't draw a lot of superheroes anymore. I like drawing Batman, Ghost Rider. But usually, you know, everybody draws Batman. It's fun to draw. I know why everybody draws Batman. No, it doesn't like that. It's just going to try something. Now, of course, Deadpool, I think, is in the theaters. I have no idea. I think it is. So everybody's drawing Deadpool. And the Avengers. So I could, like, draw Thor. We could draw a, I don't really like drawing Captain America, a little bit boring character, but maybe Spider-Man or Thanos is pretty cool. What else in the Avengers? The Hulk? Well, Hulk might be fun to draw. Yeah, just adding some subtle highlights here and there. This thing. I can easily rotate the canvas in Photoshop, which is ideal for situations like this. And just put it back. I'm not going to do the shoes because shoes are not shiny. And this, will that be enough? Yeah, I think so. Like an axis, it is pretty boring. Like if it's just a block of metal with a sharp edge and a stick. But I really like the name AXMANIAC, so I'm kind of stuck with an axe here. Like I said last time, I do have some really cool ideas for a sequel, if I'm going to do one, and which will feature different weapons and an actual opponent for AXMANIAC. I do have some ideas on how to expand the story so that it will become more than just a standard slasher movie. There, that's starting to look like something. And we just need to do the hair. Now let's see how this will work. Because I don't really like this color for the hair. Let's see if we can try something else with this. So I'm going to make it a little more brownish, just to give some, okay, it needs to be even lighter. No, even lighter. Oh wait, it's an overlay. Wait, my bad. I have to make a new layer. No, it's way too light. Okay. Just trying out some stuff here. Okay, I'm just going to use this color. It might look really weird, But the fun part of Photoshop is once I highlighted the hair, I can just change that color to make it look more like it will blend more with the actual hair color. But just using the light version of this is a little bit boring. And the hair can pop a little bit. Because the 80s was all about big hair. And that's what I also did with AXMANIAC. I actually modeled most of the main cast victims on actual characters which were played in the Friday the 13th movies. Like, for instance, Emma here is modeled after the very first victim of Pamela Voorhees, who was the killer in Friday the 13th Part 1. Some people don't even know that Friday the 13th Part 1 didn't even feature Jason, except at the end when he jumped out of the water. Jason was the main antagonist in Part 2, where he didn't even have his famous hockey mask. He was just wearing a bag over his head, which looked cool, but it wasn't as memorable as the hockey mask, which came in Part 3. And stay with him forever, because Jason now is linked to his hockey mask. For AXMANIAC, I also tried to make a cool mask, and I ended up with a well, it's not really a welding mask. I call it a welding mask, but it's more like a plate of metal with some lenses in there and the sculpting and on. So it's not really a welding mask, but I like to think of it as a very custom-made welding mask. And it's not just a mask, as you will find out when you read the comic. I'm going to change this color slightly when I finish coloring her hair. Now, I actually changed the date of this stream to Monday because on Tuesday, as I was originally planned, I'm usually way too tired because of work. So I was trying to do this on Monday, and I think I might keep this in to put the stream on Monday, because it works just a little bit better for me. I also still need to look at the subscriber, or if, you know, what are the options on Twitch? I don't know. I'm just trying it out. I do enjoy streaming. I like to talk about my projects, and I got a lot of projects lined up. I can't work up all of them on the same time because that would be impossible, but once the card game is in production, I can tell you a little bit more about the game, what it is, how it plays, and how testing is going, because I'm really curious to play this game with other people, just to see if they'll like it, if they'll understand it, and if it's a fun challenge, because I just wrote it down without any playing experience. I don't even play that many card games, to be honest. I do like thinking about gaming systems. It's I like to design those. I actually have some more ideas for games, but I'm just one guy who thinks of projects which take way too much time. drawing a comic is a lot of work. It takes, let's say, 5 till 8 hours to draw a whole page. You know, color it, draw it, letter it, and that's just a simple page. You know, if you have like a big epic scene of like a horde of zombies doing stuff, you know, you will be drawing all those zombies. Now, as you can see, I'm not really coloring like strands of hair. I feel the hair more as, you know, as blocks of shapes instead of just drawing the hair. I should really practice this. I'm honest in that. And if I have time to just practice stuff, I will. But I'd rather just work on my projects. Like the card game which I'm currently making. After AXMANIAC is completed. I will be very happy once the Kickstarter has ended, because it's almost a full-time job. Okay, here we have some highlights, and I'm now going to change this color to see if I can just make it a little bit more blended with the actual color. Maybe a little lighter. I can even change the color if I want, but I do think this is a lot better. I can even change the opacity just a little bit. Here we go. Here we have Emma, happily strolling around with the bloody axe. See, I have a really loud desk chair, which I will fix sometimes. Anyway, I see on my preview screen here on my laptop that the colors on the Twitch stream are very desaturated. So the actual drawing has a lot more saturation in color. But yeah, I'm not really sure why that is. I'm using the OBS program to stream, so it might be that. I'll look into that. I will be posting this drawing on Instagram tomorrow for people to view, and hopefully see what they're like, and pledge to my Kickstarter. So we're going to add just some like a tiny background. I'm not going to make a whole forest, but I'm just going to draw like some bushes he's walking out of, just to give it a little bit more body. So what I'm doing here is make a selection of some bushes. I'm just going to layer some bushes on top of each other. I am going to remove just a bit because she needs like a little clearing to walk out of. This is how I was drawing all the bushes and the trees in the AXMANIAC comic. It's pretty fun to do, actually. pick a darker color. And we're just going to do this again. Just making some fun shapes. And here I just select the white. So I'm still coloring the same brushes. And I might also add just a shape here, which will be even darker. And I'll use the same color here for the ground. Move up the bushes a little bit. And there we go. Just a fun little background of Miss Emma walking out of the woods. So there we have it. I've been streaming for an hour, which isn't really long, but I am really melting away here. The drawing is finished. I will be posting this tomorrow on Instagram. For the people watching, if you haven't checked out the Kickstarter, there's a link on my Twitch channel which goes directly to that page. I even made a really cool intro which has been seen a lot actually. I can see all the numbers in my Kickstarter desktop. So yeah, this was it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching me color Emma. For next week, I will make a poll on, I think, Instagram, where people can vote on what I should draw next. And I'll just put down some ideas, and we'll see. We'll see what we're going to draw. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week on Monday. Goodbye.